Welcome to day... Oh shoot, sorry, it ain't 4, it's 5. It's 5 today. Welcome to day 5, teaching you useful Tagalog words and phrases so that way you can be Taglish as a Filipino American. If you're about to start coming for me for wearing the same exact shirts, friend, I'm literally the owner of Hello Kulit. Like, I got like 19 of them, you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean you can't grab your own, so check it out. So today's phrase of the day is alam mo ba? And the reason why I'm kind of throwing out these zinger phrases is because, again, the purpose is to get you to start speaking in your everyday life. So alam mo ba is basically like, do you know? Or it can also be translated as like, you know what I mean? So for instance, say you got a classmate that's a little bit mabaho, which is stinky. So say you're talking to your friend about it and you're like, I want to say something, but I don't want to be mean. Alam mo ba? You know what I mean? And a way to respond to alam mo ba could be like alam ko, which basically is like, I know, or I get it. So now we're going to talk about breaking it down, and we're also going to talk about the gray areas of that phrase. So notice again how ba is the question mark, like how we talked about in one of our last episodes. So you could still say alam mo, but it might sound a little short. For me personally, adding the ba kind of just allows it to roll off the tongue easier. But if you don't add the ba in there, it kind of like, you really have to like make it sound like a question, like alam mo, you know, like that. Versus for me, I think it just sounds easier also to like add the question mark or that question type of like voice, they call it, right? And so the mo is like you. We're not going to get too much into it. It is basically a possessive noun. There's another word for you, which is ka, but in this case, we're going to use mo. I'll explain that hopefully later on, but I don't want to confuse anybody. Just know that mo is you or your. So now let's talk about alam, because alam is like know, right? However, that's not to get confused with being like, do you know how to speak Tagalog? So in that case, we have a different word, which is marunong. But I just don't want to confuse you guys with using alam in exchange for marunong. The reason why is because you wouldn't say like, alam ko ng Tagalog, which is like, I know Tagalog. Like, that potentially doesn't really make sense. However, if you say, marunong ako ng Tagalog, that's saying, I know Tagalog. Like, it's in my skill set. However, I throw that out there so that way you guys can also understand when you hear that word marunong and you also hear Tagalog, there's typically somebody might be asking you if you know Tagalog. Because personally for me learning, I remember that when I would hear that, I would then respond with, you know, oh, like just a little bit or whatever it may have been at that time. So for now, just practice doing alam mo ba in your everyday life. And again, it's one of those phrases you can literally use when nobody's around. Like you're literally just talking to yourself. So that way you gain the confidence to eventually start speaking when you have to speak. And I want to say a little reminder